Raiders, Speranza is in need of your service once again, but before you head topside, I think we need to take a minute and talk about firearms. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and after over 100+ hours with Arc Raiders, we're giving you our complete analysis on every weapon currently in the game. Man oh man, do they feel good. Unlike other extraction shooters, the weapons you choose before going into your next raid have very real implications for your survival, both in terms of the sort of challenges you can take on, but also how easily you can adapt to different situations the game might throw at you. While skill is constantly a factor, your weapon choice can be the difference between a successful extraction, overflowing with loot, or returning to Speranza empty-handed. Today, we want to analyze every weapon currently in the game, and to do that, we need to set up some criteria, creating a baseline to measure everything against. This isn't a rankings video. We put it together to help you identify which weapon might fit your playstyle, but our scale can certainly be used to roughly place the overall value of a weapon compared to another. So here's how we're judging weapons. First is weight. Everything in Arc Raiders has a weight value, and that matters because the heavier you are with your base loadout before looting anything, it will influence how much you can bring back from a raid. There are perks in the skill tree that will massively help offset this, but unless you want to be pigeonholed, this is a very real thing to evaluate. Then there's ammo type and the inherent penetration. The different ammo types in Arc Raiders drastically impact what you're effective at dealing with. Light ammo is awful against any arc outside of those with the lightest armor, such as ticks, pops, and wasps. On the other hand, light ammo shreds raiders, especially after their shield's been broken. You can also carry up to 100 rounds per stack of ammo, and it weighs the lightest amount per stack. Medium ammo is all around good at damaging everything, both players and arc alike, but when you're up against the heaviest player shields or the thickest arc armor, it begins to struggle. You can carry up to 80 rounds of medium ammo per stack, and it isn't that much heavier than light ammo. Heavy ammo will absolutely shred player shields and punch holes through thick arc armor, but even though it deals high damage, it's usually the slowest firing of all the ammo types, and you can only carry 40 rounds per stack, in addition to it being the heaviest of all the ammo stacks. Shotgun ammo is the ammo type with the sharpest falloff when it comes to damage. Up close, it will absolutely chunk a player's health and stagger the light to medium arc enemies, but as soon as a little distance gets introduced, your damage sees a steep falloff. It's also not a common ammo type you'll find while looting, so you'll want to bring what you plan to use. Energy ammo is a unique one. It has a really low stack size, but a single energy clip will often completely fill an energy-based weapon's ammo on reload. It deals insanely high damage to arc armor, but it's really ineffective against players, so keep that in mind when thinking about using a weapon with this ammo type. Next is ammo efficiency. Outside of how much ammo a stack can hold or how much that stack weighs, judging a weapon on how much ammo it realistically will consume to do its job is equally important because you don't have unlimited backpack space to carry stacks upon stacks of ammo. Then there's versatility. How well can this weapon perform at long, medium, and close quarters distances? Does it synergize or almost need a supporting weapon in your loadout, or can it stand on its own and provide you with additional space to extract an additional weapon? Finally, there's modification and stealth capability. These last two fall into the same category because they both revolve around how far you can mod a weapon past its base form. We'll automatically assign a weapon 2 stars if it can add a silencer, since this allows you to be stealthy without sacrificing damage. How many additional mod slots it has is also something that increases its inherent value. Now with that established, we're going to evaluate weapons in each archetype, starting with the most common and working our way up to the epics and legendaries. If you're looking for a weapon archetype that excels at dueling mid to close range, consider picking up one of the various pistols or hand cannons in the game. These won't be show-stopping weapons, but with a wide variety of ammo types available for these guns, there's very likely one that will resonate with you. The Hairpin is an interesting weapon. As an incredibly lightweight starting gun, It's not something you're going to go into a raid with expecting to dominate PvP, because 95% of the time, you're going to lose to another player, most likely because of the weapon's awkward handling. Its base magazine, the only part that can be modified, holds 8 rounds, but every time you fire the weapon, you have to rechamber a round, almost like a sniper rifle. That means you lose out on speed while being more efficient with your shots. I think that would make much more of a difference if it wasn't for the fact that the weapon not only deals really low damage per shot, but it uses light ammo as well. Yes, that ammo type is widely available, but that also means this weapon can really only deal with the lightest armored arc enemies in the game, preferably only if you're going for their weak spots. It's not all bad though. The weapon's saving grace is its built-in suppressor and surprising accuracy, making it the perfect cheap stealthy sidearm to complement an otherwise single weapon loadout. That allows you to bring the Hairpin in as a tool rather than a weapon, allowing you to deal with alarms and cameras without giving away your position. You can even plink away at an unsuspecting raider or two, or take out the occasional wasp and still remain hidden. This makes it a genuinely decent tool for going into a PvE farming run without risking much. Just don't expect to fight any significant threats because you'll most likely lose. The Burletta is what you can honestly call Arc Raider's classic sidearm because it functions exactly how you'd expect a hyper lightweight pistol to perform. It's light ammo based just like the Hairpin, so you won't be too threatening to most arc enemies in the game, but with its quick draw time and decently sized 12-round magazine, it can be a solid secondary weapon when you need to swap off your primary to fight an enemy up close. It also has the benefit of being able to fire as quickly as you can pull the trigger. Mod-wise, you only have 2 slots, one for the magazine attachment and one for the barrel attachment, which does mean it can be suppressed. That's always a plus for a weapon, helping conceal you from enemy players and arc alike. I don't think this weapon is going to win any major points with most players because while it does give you the ability to defend yourself while remaining lightweight, it will struggle against stronger weapons and arcs with any sort of armor. If you weren't already familiar with the Anvil, Arc Raider's only hand cannon, you're about to be. This thing has been the poster child for being able to do nearly everything extremely well since we started testing this game over a year and a half ago. Embark even said the weapon was overperforming before, and after some more adjustments, still feels like a weapon with very little downside, easily a primary weapon despite being a sidearm. It features a 6-round revolver-style magazine and outputs very high damage per shot, utilizing heavy ammunition, which also means it has high lethality against even the toughest arc enemies. Weight-wise, it's getting close to that of an SMG or assault rifle, so that is something to consider if you're weighing your options, literally. In terms of modability, it only has 2 mod slots, the barrel opening the door for something like a suppressor, while the other slot is entirely unique to the Anvil, a tech mod slot. We've only ever seen the legendary Splinter mod, but this alone elevates the Anvil into an entirely different class of weapon. When equipped, your bullets get replaced with one that splits into 4 weaker projectiles that deal 60% of their original damage. However, the spread feels more like a really tight shotgun, and landing all of the projectiles will actually make the weapon deal more damage, but it does become less accurate past mid-range. It's a crazy mod that transforms the weapon, allowing it to flex between a precise dueling weapon or a mid to close range high damage killer. Anvil has very little downside outside of its slower handling speed. One of the most reliable sidearms in the game has to be the Venator, a super lightweight semi-automatic weapon that fires medium ammo. It's basically what the Burletta wishes it could be, and we'd take this weapon over the Burletta any day of the week. It only has a 10-round magazine, and in conjunction with a special perk that allows it to fire 2 shots at a time, you'll have to make sure you are more deliberate with your shot selection, or you'll burn through your stacks of medium ammo quickly with little to show for it. Additionally, being a medium ammo weapon, this is a sidearm that is actually reliable at sinking damage into most arcs, especially if you hit enemy weak spots reliably. While it does present itself as a very capable and reliable quick draw sidearm for those medium to close range engagements, the gun does have its downsides. Modification-wise, it only has 2 slots, but this time that's only in the form of a foregrip and a magazine. It completely lacks the option for a barrel attachment, and that means no suppressor. You should know by now that we highly value stealth and arc raiders, so this definitely drops it down on our scale, but otherwise, it's a very capable weapon in the right hands. If there's a weapon archetype that screams, "I'm an aggressive player," it's it's most certainly the SMG. Able to shoot out insane amounts of bullets in a very short amount of time, these are the weapons you'll often find right in your gob as you peek a corner. When it comes to SMGs, we here at Legacy Gaming think the Stitcher gets overlooked and perhaps a bad rap. It's a light ammo weapon that deals low damage per shot, but when augmented with a few cheap upgrades, it can quickly transform into a menace at close range. It's not going to win any awards at medium to long distances, but if you're bringing an SMG into a raid, you already know that, and you're saving it for those close range engagements. With a small 20-round magazine, it absolutely chews through stacks of light ammo, and while you shouldn't be using it on anything but the weakest of arc enemies, players are ripe for the picking. SMGs as a whole excel at killing players, giving their insane burst capability and use of light ammo. The Stitcher is no exception, but not a fresh, unupgraded one. With a relatively cheap investment, you can upgrade its whopping 4 mod slots: the barrel, foregrip, magazine, and stock. A kitted out Stitcher, believe it or not, elevates this gun up there with the likes of the Bobcat, a much harder to obtain SMG. Slap a suppressor on this thing and learn to control its sporadic recoil pattern, and you'll find yourself winning quite a few close range engagements if you can land your shots. The Bobcat holds a very special place in Livid's ruthless, aggressive, PvP-seeking heart. This SMG is an absolute menace in close quarters, and while its stats might look similar to that of the Stitcher, it's the fire rate that really sets it apart. Still utilizing light ammo and a mag size of only 20 rounds, you will absolutely chew through stacks of light ammunition, even if it's just a couple of fights a round. So come prepared with stacks on stacks on stacks of ammo. Again, being a light weapon, you won't find it very effective against armored arc units, but the insane rate of fire can help you score a bit of damage on their weak spots. With 4 mod slots for the barrel, foregrip, magazine, and stock, suppressors are on the table for this close quarters beast. The Bobcat, true to its name, is loud and has rather aggressive recoil, but if you learn to master it and even kit it out, it's one of the few weapons in the game that can truly instill fear in an enemy raider. Shotguns in Arc Raiders are a bit unusual. On one hand, they can down an enemy raider in 1 to 2 shots if you catch them off guard. On the other hand, they do barely anything to arcs unless they're right up in your face, which opens you up to some really dangerous situations with little to no payoff. But hey, some of you like to live on a knife's edge, and we respect that. The uncommon Il Toro is your introduction to the shotgun archetype. You first have to find the blueprint to craft the weapon or get lucky enough to find a gun topside, so chances are you're not actually going to use this very early on in your game. It's your standard slow-to-fire pump-action shotgun, but if you land those shots, you'll deal significant damage. More so than any other weapon type, shotguns suffer from damage fall-off, so you're really only using this gun to push into close-range fights. It's great at breaking player shields and killing drones at close range, but it's best accompanied by another, faster weapon that can follow up on its high alpha damage to a target caught off guard. The weapon weighs around 8 kilograms, which is middle of the road, and features a 5-round magazine, so landing every shot is important. Miss those shots and you'll be punished more so than any other weapon archetype. The Il Toro also features a surprising amount of modability, allowing for a stock, magazine, foregrip, and barrel attachment. Apparently, there's a shotgun-specific suppressor out there which we haven't seen ourselves. That's kind of interesting. If you mess with the bull, you get the horns. I think that's what Il Toro is going for, and after testing it ourselves, we kind of agree. The Vulcano is the epic rarity big brother of Il Toro. Semi-automatic with a 6-round magazine, you can put far more shots into a player before they ever realize it, catching them way off guard. Just like the Il Toro, anything beyond close range suffers from massive damage fall-off, so if this is your primary weapon, you're aiming to either be hyper-aggressive or holding corners down tight corridors. One positive is that the Vulcano will outdamage most other guns at close range, but only if you're the one getting off the first shot, so it requires quick reaction time and skillful execution to make use of the weapon. The Vulcano is in the same weight class as the Il Toro, sitting around 8 kilograms, and features the exact same mod support, a stock, magazine, foregrip, and barrel attachment. Given this weapon can fire faster and you're more free to move around in a fight quickly, a suppressor could actually be an asset to the overall performance of the weapon in close quarters, especially if abusing things like smoke grenades to obscure your movements. At the end of the day, it's a superior, faster firing shotgun that's harder to craft, upgrade, and maintain, but as always, it'll be up to you to decide if it's the right gun for you. At the time of making this video, Arc Raiders only features a single light machine gun, but if you're looking for a weapon archetype that is all gas and probably needs some brakes, it's the LMGs. The Torrente is a really special weapon because it requires a team to support the player using it in order to be effective. It's not that you physically need to support that player, but you do need to act as an extra pair of eyes watching their backs, because when you unleash this weapon, it is a full send. The Torrente is a heavy weapon, one of the heaviest in the game, and can deal damage to both players and arcs equally well. You'll start to feel that heft almost immediately when you're building your loadout because of how much medium ammo you need to bring to keep the gun operational. Now, as far as ammo efficiency goes, it's awful. You'll tear through stacks as you lay down suppressive fire or lay into enemies within close quarters. Despite that limitation, no other weapon can match the 80-round magazine size that the Torrente brings to the table. The weapon truly excels in close to close mid-range engagements, but it's ineffective outside that range due to its insane recoil and spread. Crouching does make it a bit more manageable, but the handling still hurts even in that position. This ends up requiring you to either hold a position or lean into the slide mechanic to cover distances quickly while crouching right near an enemy. While it does have 3 mod slots for the barrel, magazine, and stock, even with the ability to add a suppressor, you can still hear the gun firing more than your typical suppressed weapon. I guess the mantra's true: go loud and send it when you're packing the Torrente. If you're looking for a weapon best suited for medium range but can dabble in some close quarters fights as well as long range chip damage, assault rifles are the way to go. The Kettle is your introduction to assault rifles in Arc Raiders, and strangely enough, it's the only one that makes use of light ammo. Combined with its low bullet velocity and semi-automatic firing, you're really only looking at this weapon as an effective tool against players and lighter armored bots, and only if you're the one who gets the jump on them first. Your shots will spread the quicker you fire, so you're ideally looking to use this weapon by tap firing into targets between medium and that close range threshold to be effective. Since it's using light ammo, you have to be aware that your damage significantly falls off the further away a target is. The Kettle, like most starting weapons, does perform much better when you've upgraded it to at least level 3 because the long base reload time and default 20-round magazine is often not enough to win a lot of fights against more advanced weapons. That being said, you have a lot of potential to make this weapon perform better thanks to its 4 mod slots, which allow for a stock, magazine, foregrip, and barrel. The barrel, as you know, is a big one because that enables the use of silencers, which can make this a really solid supporting weapon in raids to tackle things like security cameras and lightly armored arc enemies while remaining almost completely silent. The Kettle is a good foundational weapon that's versatile and cheap to upgrade, making it a solid pick for players on a budget. The Rattler is Arc Raiders' baseline automatic assault rifle, but it's a really strange weapon in practice. Like most other ARs in the game, you'll be using medium ammunition, so you can put up a fight against most challenges the game tosses your way. It's great when tap-firing targets and is surprisingly accurate, but there is a glaring weakness to this gun at base level. It has an absolutely horrendous magazine capacity of 10 rounds. On top of that, you have to reload the Rattler by chambering 2 rounds at a time, so the reloads can be painfully slow, especially during an intense firefight. It's another situation where a base weapon becomes much better once you can get it to that level 3 mark where the magazine size drastically increases alongside some other crucial stats. That's where the weapon begins to perform really well, but that does mean you have to invest resources in it to reach that point. The upside is that its limitations make the Rattler one of the most ammo-efficient assault rifles out there because you have to be more deliberate with your shots. Sadly, it's just not as versatile as something like the Kettle because it only has 3 mod slots for the stock, foregrip, and barrel, but having the barrel attachment means you can suppress it. It's one of the cheapest medium ammo weapons in the game to craft, upgrade, and maintain, so in the right hands, the Rattler can actually hit its mark. The Arpeggio is the perfect AR for players who prefer a weapon with a 3-round burst firing mode. It's a highly accurate weapon, but it does take a bit to get used to its recoil. However, once you do, this thing is fantastic at peeking corners for a couple quick shots at the dome. As a medium ammo weapon, it also serves you well against most other threats in the game. There is a caveat though. Since it only has a 24-round magazine and fires in 3-round bursts, landing each burst becomes incredibly important because you'll chew through stacks of ammo faster than you think. Its damage is ammo efficient, but the rate at which you burn through that ammunition can be staggering. As an upside for the gun, it is only 6 kilograms and has 4 mod slots, letting you customize the stock, magazine, foregrip, and barrel. Based on what we just pointed out as a shortcoming of the weapon, you'll find a significant performance boost when you upgrade the magazine. However, it's the addition of a suppressor that really turns this gun into a deadly raider killing machine. Keep in mind that this is an uncommon weapon. Requirements to craft and repair the gun long term, especially after upgrades, is much more resource intensive, but if you want a reliable workhorse, no matter the situation, you can't go wrong with an Arpeggio. The Tempest is when using an assault rifle goes from, hey, this feels pretty strong, to, damn, this thing melts players. It uses medium ammunition, has a recoil pattern that's really easy to manage, and is just as effective when tap firing as it is when you choose to go fully auto. It's not as snappy as an SMG or pistol in close quarters, but if you're the one firing first, you'll win most close to medium range engagements with this weapon. It's also effective against players and most ARC units, provided you're going for their weak spots, which you can't say about every AR. It's certainly strong, but that strength is locked behind its epic rarity, and with that comes a steep crafting, upgrade, and repair cost, so it's not something we'd expect players to really be rocking early into the season with great frequency. The Tempest features 3 mod slots: the magazine, foregrip, and barrel, and honestly, if this thing had 4 mod slots, we'd most likely be saying it was busted. Once again, a barrel mod means a suppressor, and I'd strongly recommend using one because you will draw the envious eyes and ears of any player who sees or hears you using one during a match. It does have a small downside in that it's quite heavy, clocking in at 11 kilograms, and while that's on the heavy end for weapons, which limits your looting, you can adjust for this with augments and some skill tree upgrades. The Bettina is not at all the weapon we thought it was at first glance. A fully automatic, epic rarity, heavy ammo using assault rifle sounds insane, but there's a lot more going on with this gun once you actually start using it. There's not really any situation where you'd actually fire this weapon fully automatic because of its hefty recoil and accuracy drop-off at medium range. You also don't want to be up close to anyone using a shotgun or SMG because the base fire rate of the Bettina will lose in most of those exchanges. That being said, it does do great damage to players because it uses heavy ammunition. Where you really start to see this weapon excel is against arcs, dealing quick bursts of damage that is almost unmatched. When you're using the Bettina, you do have to factor in some things. For starters, heavy ammo has the smallest stack size in the game, and it weighs the most. Unlike most of the other heavy ammo guns in the game, with the Bettina equipped, you'll chew through that ammunition. That leads to another problem: durability. I don't think there's another weapon that loses durability at the rate the Bettina does, often breaking after a couple stacks of heavy ammo, and even more often happening during a raid itself. Tack on the high upgrade and repair cost to make this weapon functional, and in our opinion, it's really only worth using if you're in love with how it feels to shoot. It's also just as heavy as a Tempest, so take that how you will, and judge if the Bettina is the right weapon for you. If you're looking for weapons that excel at medium to long range and can deliver high amounts of damage to raiders and arcs, look no further than the battle rifles and sniper rifles of arc raiders. The Ferro is a weapon that truly doesn't need an introduction. It's a medium to long range single shot rifle that delivers incredibly high damage if you land your shots. It's not about your twitch reactions, but a more methodical, deliberate approach, lining up your targets and executing that perfect shot. Because it uses heavy ammo which stacks smallest, hits hardest, and fires slowest, your ammo efficiency with this gun is actually some of the best in the game. Capable of cracking shields in 1 to 2 shots and punching holes in heavy arc armor, the Ferro is truly a force of nature even though it's considered a common starting weapon. You can mod the gun's barrel, foregrip, and stock, which means suppressors are on the menu for this pseudo-sniper rifle, and I honestly think it's required to keep you from becoming an easy target for enemy raiders with more aggressive close-range weapons. Because of its high damage, cracking an enemy's shield makes pairing the Ferro with a weapon that you can push with an easy 1-2 punch. It's not the end-all be-all of weapons, which is something we hear around the internet, but hitting someone with it will certainly make them at least stop and consider their next action. The Renegade is what you get if you drop the Ferro down to medium ammo, reduced its damage just a bit, and increased the magazine size to 12 while converting it to a lever action. It's truly the marksman's all-arounder, with a decent rate of fire and excellent accuracy with each shot. You'll live comfortably between 50 to 150 meters, ideal for players who want to adopt some sort of sniper-assault hybrid role. You can easily defend yourself up close, but where this weapon truly shines is in the mid-range. Just know you aren't going to punch through arc armor nearly as well as you do with the Ferro because you're just using medium ammunition. You're able to modify the barrel, magazine, and stock, all of which significantly increase the gun's efficiency. You can even attach the all-important suppressor, giving you the ability to surprise enemy teams from a distance with a constant stream of bullets while remaining relatively unseen. The only real downside to the Renegade, outside of being susceptible to an extreme close-range push, is the weapon's weight. Rocking this and a medium shield will set you back considerable weight, but thankfully the ammo is efficient, and those 80 rounds go a long way. If you can't get enough sniping, the most consistent long-range weapon you can get is the Osprey. Unlike the Ferro, the Osprey is a bolt-action rifle with an 8-round magazine, so while it doesn't fire insanely fast, it is quicker than the Ferro. It's also the only weapon currently in the game that has an actual optic, helping you land your shots even from extreme distances. Of course, that means the Osprey does have to give in other places, and that starts with its medium ammunition. The gun has worse armor penetration than the Ferro, but medium ammo is more common to find when you're topside. This also makes it incredibly efficient on ammo, with a single stack of 80 often being enough to get you through an entire round. Clocking in around 7 kilograms, it's also not particularly heavy, but that weight will increase once you pop on the staggering 4 mods it can support: barrel, foregrip, magazine, and stock. This gives it some real flexibility, but most importantly, it means you can attach a suppressor, allowing you to pick off players and hit those arc weak points from far distances away, without making much sound in the process. However, if you don't bring a weapon for those possible close quarters fights, you will struggle, like I did here, getting stuck fighting an aggressive team with nothing but an Osprey. Rookie move on my part, but still an insanely powerful weapon in the right circumstances. If you're looking for a pinnacle endgame weapon that can make short work of arcs, look no further than the Jupiter. Classified as a legendary sniper, let's be real, this thing, it's a railgun. It's one of 2 weapons currently in the game that utilize energy ammo, something you can either craft with 1 advanced arc power cell and 2 batteries, or loot from the Harvester guarded by the Queen, which is simple if you follow our complete guide to beating the Harvester event. Despite the ammunition only stacking up to 5 and weighing almost the most per stack in the game, each one completely refills an energy weapon's current magazine. The catch is, unlike other ammo types, you'll want to fully expend your weapon's magazine before reloading, because if you don't, the ammo left in the magazine will go to waste. The Jupiter has 5 shots per mag, and each hits like an absolute truck, one-shotting wasps and snitches, 2-tapping hornets, and when it comes to heavily armored enemies in the game, like leapers and rocketeers, this thing removes armor like a hot knife through butter. It's incredibly ammo efficient, doesn't lose durability very quickly despite its damage output, and is laser accurate from nearly any range. There is a slight damage drop-off at extreme distances, but for the most part, Jupiter is on par with the Hullcracker as far as efficiency. The downsides of the gun aren't terrible either. Despite its crafting cost requiring some of the hardest materials to obtain, like the Queen Reactor, it can't be upgraded or modded, so what you craft is what you get. It's also not great against players, given its slow windup time, telegraphed attack, and energy ammo being less than effective against fleshy targets. Despite all that, this is a fantastic weapon that gives you an excellent solution to deal with enemy arcs, all while allowing you to keep your distance. Not to bury the lead, but the Hullcracker is an absolutely cracked weapon that's been balanced brilliantly. It is the quintessential weapon you bring into a raid if your goal is singular in purpose: kill any and all arcs that dare to cross your path. The Hullcracker is a special epic rarity weapon that uses its own unique launcher ammo and is completely ineffective against raiders. See, the explosive shells this thing fires will only explode if they make contact with arc armor. If you hit a player, you'll barely deal 15 damage, and it'll hit them without so much as a reaction. However, use it on an arc, and this thing has some of the highest armor penetration in the game, capable of ripping through bastions, rocketeers, leapers, you name it. The downside is that anyone using a Hullcracker will be at the mercy of whatever the range and effectiveness is of their other weapon. You sacrifice PvP flexibility for the ability to render most arcs a non-threat. The gun itself is slow to fire, features a 5-round magazine that reloads similar to a slug-fed pump action, and that means you have to be deliberate with each shot while also factoring in the weapon's curving shot trajectory. I think it also goes without saying you can't suppress this weapon, and it only features 2 mod slots, a stock and a foregrip, so what you get out of the box with this gun is pretty much how it'll perform during a raid. As one of 2 legendary weapons currently in the game requiring some of the toughest resources to obtain, such as a Queen Reactor, the Equalizer might just be one of our least favorite guns to use compared to other anti-arc solutions. Clocking in at a hefty 14 kilograms, this experimental beam rifle excels at stripping the armor off of elite arc enemies and quickly exposing their weak spots for you and your teammates to take advantage of. It can deal high damage if you're unable to keep sustained fire on a target uninterrupted, but if you're forced to dip in and out of cover, the weapon feels less effective at dealing significant damage. The Equalizer features a 50-round magazine, which equates to 1 energy ammo per mag and emits a continuous beam of energy that is really easy to keep on target by pulling down and to the right. The beam can hit targets at extreme distances and, from what we gather, has little to no damage fall off. You still want to hit the weak spots and armor-plated areas of arc enemies for maximum effectiveness, because aiming center mass, unlike the Jupiter, really doesn't translate to sufficient damage. Like the other legendary weapon in the game, it can't be upgraded once crafted, can't be modded, and is ineffective against other players due to its energy ammo. In our opinion, the Hullcracker and the Jupiter are infinitely better weapons to use, but if you want the ability to strip armor from arcs, the Equalizer is the way to go. So there you have it, everything you need to know about the weapons currently in Arc Raiders. As always, if you appreciate the work that goes into making these comprehensive guides, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing. We'll have more Arc Raiders content in your feed soon, so keep it right here and never miss a thing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and fly on.